Welcome to Automate Your Agency. Every week, we bring you expert insights, practical tips, and success stories that will help you streamline your business operations and boost your growth. Let's get started on your journey to more efficient and scalable operations. Micah, you mentioned a couple of episodes ago, at the very end, you mentioned how you had a very small stint at working at Walmart years ago, probably when you were like high school or right out of high school.
It was last year.
Okay, well, didn't know that. No wonder you were so tired at the office, pulling 2 jobs. But you mentioned how they spent 2 weeks training you just on how to use the cash register.
Yes.
And to me, that is the just perfect way to encompass what a company that has scaled and invested in training compared what we see with a lot of very small businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was a while ago that I worked there. I
Okay.
didn't work there for very long, but they had definitely scaled by that point. Walmart was a known brand. I'm not that old. And yeah, their training regimen was absolutely to the T. Even though I wasn't going to be working on the cash register right away, I had to go through 2 weeks of training. I had to pass assessments. They had every little bit of that curriculum lined out, and everybody had to go through it.
Mhm. And instead of Walmart saying, "Well, this is just something that they should know," they spent excruciating detail in putting in the training so that people would know how to use it. And back then, it wasn't a sophisticated system, I would imagine.
Well, no, I sat in a room and watched videos with a bunch of other people that were starting around the same time that I did.
No,
But
I
to
mean
your
the cash
point,
register. The
oh, the
cash
cash
register probably back
register?
then probably wasn't that sophisticated. We're talking not to age you, Micah, not to say that you're
Here
old,
we go.
but 20-ish years ago, probably, I
Yeah.
would venture to say that you did that?
It was digital. It was beyond like the typewriter style.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you see in the ghost towns. No, it was
Mhm.
beyond that. It was digital. But to your point, right, they taught us how to count money, how to give change, how to pull the coins out of the like slide out cash drawer. In
So they
addition
thought of
to the
everything that an employee would run into because of probably experience told them, "Hey, an employee that we hired didn't know how to do this. We now need to train for that." And you train for the lowest common denominator. Great. If somebody already knows how to do that, perfect. They'll fly through that part of the training. But you're going to catch everyone to make sure they know how to do that one piece.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember thinking this is mind numbing because who doesn't know how to count money? But 100%. Now, all these years later, training and working with scaling teams, there are plenty of situations where you can make the assumption, hey, everybody that we hire should know this. And the reality is much different. I
Mhm.
mean, we can cite tons of examples from touch typing to Excel to even basic project management, like create a task kind of things.
We forget that because our background is different and maybe we learned how to do that, not everybody has the same background, has the same life experiences, might be a much younger generation that just doesn't have a lot of work experience behind them. And I even think about you and I where we'd get so frustrated, in the in our previous company early on, we'd be like, "Oh my god, how do they not know how to do that? Do they really not know how to do that?" And eventually we just said, "Oh, they don't know how to do that. That's gonna be part of the training. Everybody's
Yes.
now gonna get trained on that one thing."
Yep. Yep. And to your point, the people that already knew it can sail right through it, pass the assessment, no harm, no foul kind of thing. If anything, it's a quick reminder and it's acknowledgement of what you're going to reach in your role, what you're going to hit, what you're going to be exposed to, what you're going to need to know, even better than just reading a job description and going, I don't know what I'm going to get into now.
And
And
it
we
sets
bring
the
up all
company
of,
way of doing things.
yes. Yes. Well, and I think that man, I didn't even see you go head in this direction, but 100% because in company A, you might be doing the same task as company B, but in a different way. You
And you
might
want
be,
the company standard way of doing that.
yes. And when it comes into things that you take for granted and use every day, like email and project management tools and Excel or spreadsheets or Google Sheets or even Slack, real-time messaging. I like this one I love because company A will go, everything needs to be in a thread. Company B goes, I effing hate threads. We're not using threads. Now,
Mhm.
everybody knows how to hopefully type in a message and hit enter to send it in Slack, but those minute details make a huge difference.
And a lot of that nuance is such a great example, Micah, because the way that we use Slack and ClickUp is going to be most likely, unless went through one of our programs or a client of ours, is going to be very different as another organization that may put less emphasis on keeping things standardized in ClickUp and maybe Slack chats everything. If you Slack chat me all day, whew, I'm going to be worn out in about 5 minutes. That needs to go in the space, in the task, in ClickUp where it has a home. But not every client operates that way or every organization. And so having these standard operating procedures, having it as a part of training so that they know how your company operates.
Yep. And I think there's the extra level that can go a little bit deeper, which is how far does a company take the features of a platform? So even take Slack. There's a bunch of features that we don't use at
Mhm.
all. We don't
Mhm.
touch. Same thing with ClickUp. There's certain features that we just don't touch. And you can look at the other side of it too. There's features that we absolutely do use, and we use them for very specific purposes. And we could stand back and go, people will figure it out. Everybody should know this. But it's that kind of, well, nuance, which we keep using that word, but it's that nuance that does make a big difference to the team members. Because
Mhm.
if they don't know which way to go, then they're the outlier. They're the new person who's coming in and not using it the right way, or they're making a bunch of suggestions trying to help, saying, "Hey, have you ever thought about using the lists in Slack?" And we're all like, "Yeah, no, I'm just whatever." And then that's shutting them down, right? Because they're just trying to help. We shut them down. And I'm just giving a hypothetical here, but those little interactions make or break the whole onboarding and first months, first 6 months, first year of an engagement with a new team member.
Yeah, and employees, like one thing I had to learn from going through our previous company is they're not the owner. They're not the manager. They don't know what is okay and what is not okay, and they are afraid to make a mistake. Maybe you have 10% of your employees that aren't afraid and they're just going to go run with it, but the
But
other
they're the
90.
ones you promote to management anyway.
Right,
So,
right. As long as they have good decision making. But
yeah.
that's still like such a small percentage of the people that are just gonna go after it. And
Hmm.
the rest of them are either going to sit and wait and do nothing or fumble through trying to figure it out. That is so much time wasted in your organization.
So much time. Oh my God. I mean, we're talking hours and hours that we can in this business and our last business when there's that insecurity, for lack of a better word, of should I go this way or should I go that way? They can spiral in circles for hours
And they may
on
not
all
even
different sides of the business.
and they may not have the right knowledge to make a skilled decision, which is when they halt.
Hmm.
There's
And
no
there's not
company.
training, so then
Right.
they have to go to somebody. They may not even know who to go to ask
Mhm.
a question. So it's like this complete frozen state of like, "Oh shit, what am I gonna do? I don't know who to ask. I don't know how to make this decision. I'm new here. I don't wanna be wrong. I don't wanna
And
look
we
like I don't know what I'm doing."
Yeah. You know what I think is so interesting when we work with some companies is we work with them and they put so much emphasis on setting up their workflows and getting things fine-tuned. And they're beautiful and they work so well and there's automation in there. And then they do maybe just one day training on how to use the system.
A day is generous, Elaine.
I'm saying
1
1 hour.
hour.
1 hour. Yes. Yes, I was being generous, but it really is 1 hour typically on training to use the system. You just worked with a company to build out your entire workflow and system that most likely took 2 to 3 months for a couple of your workflows. because we were the expert. And now you're going to hand off that system to your team who are not experts, who maybe might want to make some changes, who don't understand how the company wants to operate in there fully because it's new.
Mhm.
The company may not really know yet. You gotta kind of massage some areas, and training needs to keep on happening so that people continue to utilize the system and don't go back to bad habits or old habits. I see that so often where the shift goes back to old habits because it's scary going into a new system. Everybody then is using it a different way because not everybody's been in there long enough to really get a system in place.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I think the core point that we're trying to make here is training is way more important and far more difficult to do right than any of us want it to be.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. None of us want it
I'm
to be this hard.
I'm still struggling with that. Like I'm all about refinement and iterative improvements and all of this kind of stuff. And little ones here and there work fine. But when you start making bigger changes and honestly, really any changes, there has to be training. And it's so like I think there might be an analogy to marketing here, Elaine. When
Okay, let me
you're marketing, you don't just send one email out and go, well, that's it. We're done. Can't make
we
it.
want marketing to work.
We all want marketing to work like that. So here's my analogy. We all want marketing to work like that, but then we hire experts and when marketing does work, we hit 7 touch points. We hit 14 touch points. We're hitting the same audience from different channels. We're using slightly different messages that lead them all back to the same landing page.
Mhm.
Well, that's exactly what we need to do with training. It's not just the one meeting and you hope your entire team and all the users of this new workflow suddenly magically know every single bit of it and will start using it tomorrow because you have all that insecurity of being wrong and not knowing and not having the resources. They're not set up for success. Just like your marketing campaigns aren't set up for success when you only send one email and call it done, your change management, your workflows, your improvement, your scalability is not set up for success when you just do one meeting and we're done. You need to have multiple touch points. You need to hit that audience from multiple channels. You need to be there to set them up for success.
Yeah, and I think you and Bo did an episode on the rack system and how you can
Hmm.
have company knowledge easily accessible by your team members because they're not gonna maybe they go through a training. They cannot keep track of all of those things in their head. And you don't want them to. You want them to have the capacity to do other things as well. But they need to know there is training on this. It's available. Let me just go and do a quick chat with our knowledge base and
Well,
pull out.
at, at risk of completely derailing the topic of this episode, there's also this whole concept that training is changing because of AI.
Mm-hmm.
And because you can connect your company data. So take customer success if or customer service. If you have a team and you have a ton of products, well, how do you train on all those details of all those products? Well, now you can have AI create a chat interface to the product specifications that are specific to your products, to your company, and how they should be handled and communicated to the customers. That's a whole different type of training, but it's one of those channels. It's one of those touch points that I was talking about earlier with the analogy to marketing is that it's setting your team up for success. It's just a different way to look at it. We don't have to make our team sit there for 2 hours or 2 weeks watching videos. There's multiple different ways that you can do this now.
Mm-hmm. So it can be hooked up to multiple systems, having accessible knowledge from different places than just what's in that one place.
Yeah, and it's something like if you're trying to find this single document, you're spending the time finding the document, maybe you have a search, but you're searching folders, you're going through the file, then you got to find the right section. You then have to read that section and you got to do all that. Most people don't do that. They go, "Hey Lane, how do I do X, Y, and Z?" Because it is way easier to ask somebody or something a question than do all the work to find all that out. So
Mhm.
then switch over to this RAG chat interface, you can communicate with a custom agent that has access to the information that it needs. And you can ask it a question instead of asking somebody else on the team who's already busy a question. And it's going to do all that searching for you, only it's not going to take 15 minutes. It's going to take 15 seconds, if that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then it's going back and analyzing the data that it found and synthesize a response back to you. So you're getting not just a search, you're also getting an AI response and analysis that you can continue to chat with and continue to ask information on. And it's a completely different experience than, oh, I need to look up an answer in an employee handbook, or I need to figure out how to find the right SOP for whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 sides to this. One is you absolutely need to be training and having them go through trainings courses or SOPs or something within your organization because they don't know what to ask sometimes. They don't know not to hit reply all on every email.
Yeah.
There's gonna be
Yeah.
things that need to be trained that you need to go through with your employees, and then there's gonna be things where they need to be able to search and find those trainings when they have a question. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to go search and find that. So that's the 2 pieces. You need training happening and you need that knowledge accessible.
Yeah. You could think of it as like, I don't know, the way that I shape it in my brain, Elaine, is like there's this baseline training that everybody, the stuff that everybody needs to know, but you can't retain 100% of that. Like you could do baseline training on every SOP for each role that you have in your company. Great, but the retention's going to be 5 or 10%, maybe less, which leaves a huge gap. So then you need quick reference
Mhm.
material. And we've talked a little bit about this in different episodes, but I think the point that we're trying to make here is the technology is advancing the capabilities of training, and just going back to, as important as marketing is to generate sales leads, training is as important as it is for productive team members and employees and scalability, because without that you're just lighting fires and it's your job to put them out all day. And I know there's listeners that are hearing that going, yeah, that's me. Yep, that's exactly what's happening right now, because you and I have both been there as
Mhm.
well.
Oh, absolutely. We're not perfect. We still stumble along the way too and realize, "Oh, we need to train for that and we need to build some training for that."
Yep. I
So if
like to think now though that we're seeing the smoke and we're able to stomp on like the little fires still start for sure, but it's like more of a controlled burn than it is, a forest fire of
Yeah.
headache.
Agreed, agreed. So if anybody wants any of the free resources and courses that we have, we'll link to those in the show notes. And
Check out the brain program. We'll include a link to that as well. We're even giving away a free month so you can see the value without any obligation.